I've conducted hundreds of interviews over the years, and today I'm going to walk you through what I look for in a product manager interview. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video. My name is Alex, and if you want to learn about product management, business, finance, how to get into the top tech companies, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Make sure to also hit the like button and comment down below if you have any suggestions. Let's get right into it. We're going to cover a lot of ground today. This is not comprehensive, but it does cover a large chunk of what I look for when I interview. We'll probably do a follow-up video, but for now, here's the top 10 things I look for in a product manager interview. First thing right off the bat is level of energy. I'm checking the level of energy of the candidate that I'm talking to. Am I having a good time? When we get into the interview, I want to make sure that the candidate has an excellent level of energy, is energetic, enthusiastic, optimistic about the world. I understand it can be difficult to get into that frame of mind often, but it's critical to do that during the interview. Because ultimately, as a hiring manager, I'm looking for someone who can perform at the job. And in order to perform at the job, unfortunately, you need to be able to have that optimism, that internal drive to kind of keep things moving even when things are difficult. Is the candidate excited to have the conversation with me about tech or products or innovation or serving customers or whatever the case may be? If the candidate is excited, energetic, and it feels like it's a mutually enjoyable conversation, that's one of the key things that I look for. So number one is going to be level of energy. Am I having a good time talking to them? Are they excited about the opportunity? Are they excited about the job? Do they have optimism about the future? Because it might be hard to maintain optimism and a level of excitedness about the world every single day when you come into your work, but at least you should be very excited about it in the very beginning. And especially the product manager's job, usually it's not boring. There's usually a lot of stuff going on. Although sometimes the job can be very difficult, you need that level of optimism and that energy to kind of carry you through. The second thing that I look for is structured thinking. Is the candidate able to give me their ideas succinctly in a structured way? Can they take the time to think about what they're actually saying? Or do they just dive into an answer? This is extremely important. I talk about it in other videos. Top 5 mistakes during an interview. I talk about it there, but there's also other things to keep in mind during an interview. But the idea is that you don't dive right into an answer. You actually take a moment to think about what you're going to say before you say it. Because usually there are many layers to any problem. And as you start to unravel it, you can realize that there are very important pieces that you missed along the way if you just dove into an answer. So structured thinking about everything is very important for me when I interview candidates. Whatever question I ask, doesn't matter. Behavioral, strategy, business question, product question, technical question, I want to see that structure to how you come up with an answer. I want to make sure that it's a structured way of thinking. I say this often, but you can build order out of chaos. The third aspect that I look for is goal setting and focusing on impactful work. In the candidate's previous experience or during some of the questions that we get into, what choice is the candidate going to make? How is the candidate going to focus on a particular area or another? How do they set their goals? How do they set the team's goals? How do they know when something's a success or a failure or a moderate success? How do they know what to focus on? Do they know where they're going? Are they setting targets? And do they know when they get there? And in general, do they focus on important stuff? Do they focus on impactful work? Number 4 is demonstrated learning from mistakes. How did this candidate learn from mistakes? Can they demonstrate that they've learned from previous mistakes? We've all made mistakes. We're going to make mistakes on the new job. This candidate is going to make mistakes if they get hired. I want to understand, how do they learn from mistakes? There's 3 broad types of people. People that do not learn from their mistakes, people that can learn from their mistakes and do, and finally people that learn from others' mistakes. Unfortunately, I'm not in that group, and I very rarely see people that are in that group. Sometimes they do come along, but all I really look for is that you're in that second group. You can learn from your mistakes. And sometimes those takeaways can influence their future behavior in profound ways. I want to see that learning that they take from certain situations, failures, mistakes, acted on and expanded to other areas of their life. Here's a big red flag. Whenever there's a situation when a candidate is telling me about some learnings that they took away, if I don't think they've actually taken away the right learning, that's going to be a big red flag for me. If something happened, they explain their takeaway, and their takeaway is not what I think it should be from that situation, from the way it was described, that's going to be a red flag. As opposed to if the candidate makes a succinct story which explains what happened, how they changed as a result, what they learned, and it makes sense to me, that's going to be powerful. The next important one is a desire to build stuff that people need. Solutions for people's problems. I really want the product managers that I interview to be interested in building products, building stuff, building useful solutions. And so a lot of times that means for me an interest in building and also a demonstrated ability to build something, either a side business, a startup, a company, or a hobby, or some sort of a movement, or an organization, really anything. Build something which other people find useful. We'll have other videos talking about how you can actually demonstrate that portfolio of building side PM products. We're going to talk separately about that. Product managers that build lots of different things and have demonstrated that they've built different products and they have an interest in building in general are going to get preference from me. Next one is a proven ability to drive impact at whatever type of organization I'm hiring for. If I'm a startup, I want to make sure that this candidate has delivered impact in a startup environment. Mid-size, same thing for mid-size. They can communicate and collaborate across smaller companies, but across organizational lines. And finally, if I'm at a big tech company, I want to make sure that the product manager understands how to work with big organizational departmental groups, how to collaborate across those lines, how to deliver impact, deliver launches, and execute in order to drive results in those environments. So I'm going to look for ways to tease out whether the product manager understands the challenges of this particular environment, startup, small, mid-size, or big company, and demonstrate how they would act in different situations or how they've acted in the past if they have similar experience. For a little more detail about big tech, check out this video about the day in the life of a Google product manager. It goes a little bit into the details of a typical day that I experience. All right, the next topic is an ability to explain things clearly and relatively quickly, especially complicated things. This is extremely important as product managers need to collaborate across various different groups, and they need to be able to explain different types of concepts to different people with different backgrounds, different levels of understanding of certain topics, communicate complicated topics, up to sometimes key stakeholders that may have a very narrow understanding of the topic, or conversely, they have an extremely broad view and they need to understand it at a high level. This ability to explain complicated things in an easy way is something that I look for in product managers. Usually this might be some explanation of a tech concept, or putting together a basic structure for something, putting together a basic process map for a way that a certain product operates, a certain technology works. Or it might be a question of, can this candidate figure out an easy way to summarize everything that we've been talking about in a way that would make sense and identify and highlight the key point of what we're talking about. So for instance, today we're talking about all the stuff that I look for, but here's also a video about the top 10 skills that a product manager needs to succeed. Some of these are overlapping, but you'll find a different way of looking at it, so make sure to check out this video. The next important point is, can this candidate demonstrate an impactful experience that matches some of the key activities of the role that I'm trying to fill? Have they done something, and can they speak to a situation where they've had to do similar actions? I don't like to necessarily talk about duties and responsibilities, but it's more like, what are the things that I actually need this person to do on the job? Have they done these type of things in a similar environment before? That's what I want to understand. The next point is, I look for someone that can impress not just me, but other key cross-functional group members. Engineering, product, organizational team members, sales. I need someone who's going to be able to make a good impression on all of these different groups, because they're going to need to be the driving force that actually unites and collaborates meaningfully with these people. They need to be able to find a common language with different types of people, different roles in the company. Just because I think that they're excellent doesn't necessarily make a complete picture. So I definitely want them to have a positive experience speaking with other key team members. This next one's important and has a lot of overlap with what we started from, which is energy, optimism about the world. I look for someone who loves complicated questions and problems and ambiguity and thrives in trying to figure out a way out, trying to figure out a solution, and enjoys the process of actually solving these. This kind of has to do with a concept that is known as 10x thinking. And I have a separate video talking about 10x thinking for product managers. Make sure to check that out. But the idea is that someone who thinks big and enjoys the challenges of scale and dealing with confusing, ambiguous situations. So, for instance, this might manifest itself in a question where I present a very complicated or ambiguous problem, and the candidate, rather than saying, well, actually, I don't know anymore, I don't have any more ideas at the moment, or really getting upset that they're getting stumped, they're getting confused, would actually just tell me, you know what, this is so complicated and confusing, I love it. And I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm stuck answering this question right now. Let me try to come at it from a different angle. I really enjoy the challenge. And this is exactly the type of work that a product manager, especially at top tech companies, is going to be facing every day. So having this love for the challenge is very important to me. I look for someone who thrives on constructive feedback and generally wants to grow. This has something to do with learning from mistakes, but also this is the way that we process feedback. Of course, taking constructive feedback well is one thing, but the ability to actually take feedback from any comments, even negative comments, be able to actually tease out what is the important takeaway from what this other person is trying to tell you, that's an important facet. I will definitely ask, how do you deal with failure? How do you deal with problems? Tell me about a time that someone disagreed with you, because I want to understand how this candidate actually dealt with the feedback that is coming their way. How were they able to get the positive aspect of it, take something away from what is being said to them? This could be by a customer, team member, employee, or a manager. The important thing is, what do they do with this feedback? So a lot of stuff actually is revealed through these behavioral questions. And I have a video talking about how to answer behavioral questions right here, so make sure to check that out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash the like button to help get this video in front of folks who may be interested. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss anything. And let me know down in the comments which of these areas you struggle with the most. From here, you can check out the How to Build a Product Manager Resume series or How to Get Through a Product Manager Interview series. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.